Hey folks, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to give everyone a couple more seconds to log in and then we'll get started. All right, we've got a great crowd with us today. I'm super excited. Toufiq from the Oracle Apex team is a first-time presenter for Viscosity and NYOUG. So I hope you guys help me and Coleman in welcoming him today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to today's webinar, co-hosted by the New York Oracle User Group and Oracle partner Viscosity North America. This is a live webinar, so feel free to submit questions in the Q&A field, and our speaker will get back to you as he can. And if not during the session, then he'll get to you as he wraps up. All right. If you are not familiar with Viscosity and NYOUG, welcome. We're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves. My name is Monica Lee. I'm the marketing director here at Viscosity. But first, I'm going to turn you over to Coleman, who's going to talk about NYOUG.
Thank you, Monica. Next slide, please. So the New York Oracle Users Group was formed in 1984, just a short time ago, for the exchange of ideas, assistance, and support among users of Oracle software products. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me personally at C. Leviter on the previous slide at ieee.org. Next slide, please. And of course, you can reach out to us also with X, Meetup, LinkedIn, Facebook, and our website, nyoug.org, where we have all the sessions that have been co-hosted with the Viscosity since 2020, just a short time ago. And I just want to let you know that the upcoming webinars, besides Toufiq today, we're going to have next Tuesday, Paul Parkinson will be talking about AI and ML driven apps with autonomous database 23 AI. Next one coming up the week after that, August 13th, will be Sean Stacy, and he'll be talking about an introduction to Oracle Database 23 AI vector database. And finally, on August 20th, Mark Suits will top it off at Apex AI. And thank you, Monica. Please take it.
Thanks, Coleman. We hope you guys register for those upcoming webinars, either via nyoug.org or Viscosity's website. So I'm just going to show you a little bit about Viscosity. Like I said, my name is Monica, and I'm the marketing director here at Viscosity. We are a full Oracle stack consulting firm with core expertise in Oracle database, including RAC, Oracle Apex. We perform near zero or zero downtime migrations for our customers. We do a lot of performance tuning and high availability projects, and we've also got decades of experience with infrastructure, including engineered systems. And we've been prepping our customers for Oracle Database 23C, and we host monthly workshops through orapub.com. So on this slide, you can see 3 pillars, and these are the main pillars that Viscosity is built upon. Across the bottom, you'll see in gray services that we provide for all 3 pillars. So assessments, proof of concepts, training, managed services. If anything here interests you or speaks to any pain points that your organization's experiencing, please let me know. We'd be happy to help you out or just see if we can. On this slide, we've got some of our books. I think my team has 25, I need to recount, 25, maybe over 30 now, books between them. Most recent is the Oracle Database Performance Tuning Handbook, upgrading Oracle databases, and I believe Oracle on Docker came out last year. We do hope to have new versions of these 2 pocket solution guides is what we call them at Oracle Cloud World. If you're going to be at Oracle Cloud World, let me know. I'd love to invite you to our party and make sure I get some books in your hands. Right here, I've just got some of our recognized speakers, presenters, consultants. They are both helping the Oracle community as well as our clients at the same time. awesome folks. If you were at Kscope, you may have seen some of them, as well as our Apex team. We just came back from there and had an amazing 13 sessions across Oracle Apex, AI, and machine learning. So if you're interested in seeing some of the stuff we presented there, I'll tell you how to do that in a second. As in right now. You can head to www.orapub.com. We have all the slide decks from their Kscope sessions posted there. And we also have all of these webinars plus any other webinar we do ready to watch with any reference guides attached to them. And it is a free membership to access all that stuff. There are paid memberships that offer a little extra tools and perks there, but if you're a free member, you can grab everything. So again, this is a recorded webinar. Toufiq will give us his slides or anything else he decides to share with us, and you can access those through NYOUG or Viscosity's Orapub. All right, and with that, make sure you sign up for those webinars that Coleman mentioned, either at events.viscosityna.com or nyoug.org. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Coleman and Toufiq.
Thank you, Monica. So Toufiq is a senior product manager on the Oracle Apex product development team, focusing on customer success and the adoption of Apex in the JPAC region. He brings extensive experience as an Apex developer and architect, having migrated Oracle Forms to Oracle Apex and developed commercial multi-tenant SaaS products. Additionally, Toufiq has been working on building next generation data applications using generative AI, expanding his expertise in cutting edge technologies. Again, I want to thank Monica and Viscosity for co-hosting these series of webinars since 2020. I wish to thank Toufiq for presenting today. Thank you again, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Coleman. Thank you for the introduction. A pleasure is mine to be here. Again, my name is Toufiq. I'm Senior Product Manager on the Oracle Apex product team. Today's session topic is Unlock AI Potential with Oracle Apex, right? So let's quickly look at what I'm going to cover in this session. So first, I'll start by explaining the generative AI service support available in Oracle Apex starting Apex 24.1. And then I'll talk about how you can create an application just by providing a prompt. And then we'll look at how you can use Apex AI Assistant in code editors, wherein you can learn how to use generative AI to write SQL queries to get help with your code inside Apex code editors. And then I'll also talk about the Open AI Assistant dynamic action, using which you can render an AI chatbot in your Apex end applications. And finally, I'll also touch upon how you can implement semantic search as well as RAG implementations within Oracle Apex using Oracle Database 23 AI vector search capability. Sounds interesting, right? Okay, let's get started with the first topic without any further ado. The first topic is generative AI service. So starting Apex 24.1, we have introduced generative AI service natively inside Oracle Apex. So what exactly is this generative AI service? Here are some key overview points about this service. It's an abstraction to popular commercial generative AI products that are available in the market, like OpenAI, Cohere, and OCI Generative AI, for example. So this particular service provides an abstraction on top of these generative AI products available in the market. And then you can authenticate against these services using web credentials that are available in the previous releases from many years ago. So these services, these generative AI services, leverage web credentials to authenticate. So if you're configuring an OpenAI generative AI service, you can also configure a web credential wherein you provide the generative AI token, the OpenAI API key, right, which you get from the OpenAI platform, and then you can configure that as a web credential in Oracle Apex, using which you can authenticate when you use this generative AI service, right? And these generative AI services, they are used within the app builder, right? In the app builder at multiple places. I'll show that in the demos in some time. This generative AI service, which you configure here, can be put to use inside the app builder, in the AI assistant, which you render in the end applications, as well as you can leverage and put this generative AI service to use using the Apex _AI PL SQL API. right? So you can use it within the app builder as well as using PL SQL programmatically. You can invoke this generative AI service, right? And this particular generative AI service, you can enable or disable at the instance levels as well as at the workspace levels. So this is not by default enabled, right? You need to enable this explicitly. There are two levels at which you can enable or disable this generative AI service. One is at the instance level and other is at the workspace level, right? So with that, let me go into more details of what exactly is this generative AI service is all about. The whole concept revolves around choosing your preferred AI provider, right? With generative AI service, you get the flexibility to choose your own AI provider. So the AI provider is not embedded or not hard coded in the platform. You get the flexibility to choose between the available AI providers. So the available options are OCI Generative AI Service, OpenAI, and Cohere, right? If you go with OCI Generative AI Service, that service behind the scenes makes post requests to this particular endpoint, which you see on the screen, and it authenticates using the OCI native authentication, right? And if you use OpenAI as your AI provider, it makes a REST API call, a post REST API call to this endpoint, that is the OpenAI API endpoint, and then it authenticates using bearer authentication. So that is the authentication which OpenAI REST API follows, and that is what Apex also leverages to authenticate with OpenAI when you configure this generative AI service with OpenAI as AI provider. The third AI provider that is available is Cohere, right? When you choose Cohere, it sends post REST API calls to that endpoint, which you see on the screen, post slash chat. Slash chat is the Cohere specific chat model endpoint. And it also authenticates just like OpenAI, it also authenticates using bearer authentication. So these are the three AI providers available in Oracle Apex, which you can integrate, which you can create as generative AI service and put them to use in your Apex app builder as well as in your AI assistant, right? Along with the UI level generative AI service support, you can also invoke a generative AI using the PL SQL public API Apex underscore AI package that is shipped along with Apex 24.1. Right? It's a public PL SQL API package ready to use. If you have 24.1, you can write code snippets with this Apex underscore AI package. It models chat operation of popular generative AI REST services. So it also has the chat interface. By using this function, you're typically invoking the chat model, chat operation of all the popular generative AI services. Like for example, if you use OpenAI as your generative AI service, when you use this function, it invokes the chat endpoint of that particular OpenAI service. And then this is also used internally by the chat widget. When I say chat widget, this is the AI assistant uh, UI widget, which you render on the end user applications. And then this is not the entire list of functions available in this particular PL SQL API. We also have many other procedures around consent management. Right? So that's a brief introduction into what exactly is generative AI service that is available. And next, let's quickly have a demo. I will be spending most of my time demoing rather than in the PPTs. Let me shift to my browser for that. So this is my Apex 24.1. I hope you can see my browser. This is the app builder, which you see on the screen. One second, let me also open. Yeah, this is the app builder that you see on the screen. And this is, if I show you the version, this is Apex 24.1 that is posted here. And now, where exactly can you define the generative AI service? For that, you need to go to workspace utilities under app builder and click on all workspace utilities. Under workspace utilities, you'll find a menu entry called generative AI. This is where you configure generative AI services within Oracle Apex, right? So when you click on that, I have already configured 3 generative AI services, one of each type for this demo. One is OpenAI and Cohere and OCI Generative AI. For demo purposes, I will also show you how to create one. So when you click on create, you get this create or edit screen. Here you can select your AI provider. The available AI providers as of today are OCI Generative AI Service, OpenAI, and Cohere. So you can leverage any of these three AI providers that are available. For example, if I select OpenAI, it shows all the other attributes that are needed for OpenAI Generative AI Service. You can provide a name as well, to something like that. And static ID, you can leave it as it is. It will be filled automatically if you leave it empty. And under settings, you will find this particular attribute called used by app builder. What this means is that when you toggle this on, this particular AI provider, this particular generative AI service can be used within the app builder, be it in the code editors or other places when creating an application. Right? I'll show that in some time what this means, but only one generative AI service can be marked as used by app builder. Only one service can have this on, right? I already have it on for other service, so for now I'll keep it off. And this is the base URL to which this particular generative AI service call will be made, right? This is the API endpoint for OpenAI that is automatically filled. And under credentials, this is where you configure your OpenAI API key. So for this to work, you need to have an OpenAI API key, because that is what is used to authenticate a request with the OpenAI service. So here I will just paste a dummy OpenAI key for now for demo. And when you use create new option, it will automatically create a web credential for you behind the scenes. You don't have to create a web credential separately. So you just have to select create new in the credential attribute and then provide the API key. It will automatically create a web credential behind the scenes for you. And then here in the AI model attribute, you can specify the AI model which you want to invoke. For example, OpenAI has multiple AI models available, right? GPT 3.5, GPT 3.5 Turbo. There are many models available. You can specify which model you want to invoke here in the AI model attribute. If you don't specify an AI model, it will pick the default AI model for that particular AI provider, right? So this is how you can configure an AI, a generative AI service for OpenAI AI provider. Additionally, you can also define some additional attributes if you want, which will be sent along with the request in the REST API call to OpenAI service. For example, OpenAI has attribute called max tokens. You can specify that, and you can specify that max token should be maybe 5,000 tokens. If you want to limit the maximum number of tokens that the OpenAI should return, you can specify that here using the additional attributes button, right? This is where you can customize further. You can add additional attributes depending on the AI provider. You can find which additional attributes are supported by looking into the documentation for this AI provider. For example, if you go to OpenAI documentation, you'll find all the other kinds of attributes that it supports. Other typical use case where you might use additional attributes is when you want to specify temperature or other LLM specific parameters, right? For example, temperature you can specify, which defines the randomness of the responses, etc. All this you can define under additional attributes. You can also specify HTTP headers, which gets included inside, which gets added to your REST API calls made to OpenAI endpoint. So you can add headers like, not needed, but I'm just showing an example. We can add multiple headers. I have one header like this, or other header can be user agent. So not these are by default added, but if you have other HTTP headers that you want to add, you can leverage this particular attribute to add. So each line will be a new HTTP header. This is how you can define AI provider. So if I select Cohere, corresponding base URL of Cohere is filled here. And here you can provide the API key for Cohere, right? And similarly, if you select OCI Generative AI, OCI Generative AI has its own attributes. So you need to provide the compartment ID, the region. Currently, I think OCI Generative AI is only available in Chicago and a few other regions. So that particular region you need to provide here. And the model ID. So OCI Generative AI has multiple models available, right? Cohere command is one model, Cohere command R is other model, and then we also have Llama 2 available. So you can specify the model ID here, right? And if you are using your own model, right? If you have your own model being hosted on OCI Generative AI Service, even that you can mention here under model ID. And you can also specify this attribute for OCI Generative AI Service starting 24.1.2. So this means you can use this OCI Generative AI Service uh, inside App Builder as well, right? And when it comes to credentials, Generative AI Service has its own set of credentials like a user ID, private key, tenancy ID, and public key fingerprint. And this is all again specific to OCI authentication. As I mentioned earlier, when you choose a provider as OCI Generative AI Service, it authenticates using the OCI native authentication, right? I'll not be covering this in detail. This is something we can find in the documentation as well, how to obtain an API key for OCI Generative AI Service. For this demo, I already have OpenAI and Cohere and OCI Generative AI services created. For example, I have marked the OpenAI as the service which will be used by the app builder. As I was mentioning earlier, only one of these services can have this parameter marked as yes. So when you select this particular service as used by app builder, that means within the app builder, whenever you invoke generative AI service, be it in the code editor to write queries, or be it in the create app wizard to create applications, this is the generative AI service it will be using behind the scenes, right? So this is how we can define generative AI service within Apex. So all we did here is we just defined it. The next step is to put this to use, right? So how, where all we can put this to use? That is again, I have to get back to my PPT 1 second. So the next is create app from a prompt. Now that we have defined a generative AI service, we can put this to use. The first use case is creating app from a prompt. So you can actually create an application, or to be honest, we are creating an application blueprint based on a prompt. This prompt can be any sentence in natural language, in whatever conversational language you and I talk, right? In a similar language, you can put across a prompt over to the create app wizard, and the create app wizard then generates an application blueprint based on your own database tables. How does it do that? It leverages Apex Dictionary Cache to identify relevant tables based on the user prompt. For example, I ask, build an app on project tasks, right? Or build an app, uh, build a projects portal to display the details of all the projects in my database, something like that. So based on the prompt, it can identify that I'm asking to create an application based on projects table, and it is clever enough to identify all the tables that are there in the database, and accordingly it creates a application blueprint, right? So once you have this application blueprint created, you can further enhance this initial generated blueprint with additional instructions. It's like having a conversation, right? So you first ask, build an application, and then it generates a blueprint, and then you can say, you can make enhancements to this, like enable push notifications, or enable feedback feature, or remove so and so pages. You can just type in subsequent prompts, and it will accordingly enhance the generated blueprint, right? In a conversational format. So this is the create app from a prompt feature that is available. Again, as I was telling, this leverages the generative AI service which we have configured in the first step, right? Let's have a quick demo of how this is done. I'm back to my browser. So now I have this OpenAI generative AI service configured, and this is marked as yes. So I can now go back to my app builder. So I don't have any applications created in this particular workspace yet. Before I start creating the application, I would like to show my situation at the database end. So I go to object browser. So in the object browser, I have a table called high schools table. I have data about high schools in this table, right? Now what I want to do is I want to create an application on top of this table. I want to display this particular uh, data, access this data via an Apex application. How do I do that? I go to app builder, and I can click on create a new app. This is the standard approach in the previous versions as well. In the create app wizard here, in the create application page, you get multiple options. You can create an app using a wizard, right? You can also create an app using generative AI. This is what we are going to demo today. Additionally, you can also create an app from a file, which was possible in the previous versions as well, and create app from quick SQL and other options, right? So here, this is of importance. This is what we are going to demo today, the creating app using generative AI. When you click on that, it shows this Apex Assistant, and it shows an initial prompt saying, let's create an app together. Describe the app you want to create, including data or tables it will use, right? So ideally, if you are opening this particular assistant for the first time, it will ask you for consent. Let me show that to you. Let me quickly revoke the consent first. So you can revoke the consent or grant the consent from under preferences here. If you go to preferences, here you have revoke generative AI consent changes. So if you want to revoke the consent, you can do it from here. So this is the fresh application, fresh workspace. Now I'm opening it for the first time. It asks for consent, right? This consent is about you're giving consent for the large language model to look into your database tables, not the data, but the database table structure, and accordingly answer your questions. So that's consent given, and you can revoke it from the top right user menu. Now I have this Apex Assistant loaded. So now I want to create a high school chapter. So that's what I will ask in natural language, create a high schools. Simple as that. I just send across this prompt. I have not tested. Large language models sometimes don't work. So it's depends on uh, how competent your OpenAI LLM is. In this demo, it's working. So it came back with a blueprint, right? It understood that it has to create an application based on my high school table, and it based on the high school table, it went and looked at the high school table and the type of data it holds. Based on the type of data it holds, it came back with an application blueprint. The application is not yet created; it is just a blueprint. Now I want to make further enhancements. Like for example, I want to make this dashboard page as the home page. I can simply ask make as home page, right? It will make that enhancement. I don't have to provide the context again. It is just like conversation. It is aware of what is the first prompt. It is aware of the response it gave, and it is aware of the next prompt that we have asked, and accordingly, it will make these enhancements. You don't have to specifically worry about passing the context. It's all taken care for you. Now it made the dashboard page as the home page. Additionally, I want to, let's say, disable or add feedback feature and remove few pages. Or remove, let's say I want to remove few pages like events calendar and school entry, just to give an example. So accordingly, it will add the feedback feature, and it will remove events calendar and school entry pages, right? So in this way, you can have a conversational interaction with the Apex Assistant in natural language and create the application blueprint. Now you can see the feedback feature is added, and the pages which I asked to remove, they are removed. I can now go ahead and click on create application based on this application blueprint. Now it creates the application blueprint. It shows the application blueprint in this format. If you want to make additional changes, you can do that here, or you can simply click on create application, right? So this is how you can use create app wizard and use generative AI to create an application just by using prompts in natural language, right? This is one feature of Apex 24.1, right? So I have the application created. If I run this application, it is all done without writing a single line of code. I was able to generate this app. It has all these pages created. School's overview page is also created for you. And I also have school search page, which has this faceted search available. Again, all this without writing single line of code. I just talked to my Apex app builder and it is able to generate this application for me using generative AI. So behind the scenes, it is using generative AI service based on OpenAI models. I can always use OCI generative AI or Cohere as well. Now going back to the next feature, which can leverage generative AI service, that is Apex Assistant in code editors, right? So what exactly is this feature? So Apex Assistant in code editors leverages generative AI service, right? So here you can see we have a button called Apex Assistant. When you click on that button, it opens up a new region here in the code editor with the same chatbot which you saw earlier, right? Chat interface. So this again, same as the create app wizard, this also leverages Apex dictionary cache to identify relevant tables to generate queries. So based on the user prompt, it leverages the Apex dictionary cache to identify the table information and include those tables in the resultant SQL queries. So you can generate SQL queries for form and report regions using the query builder mode. So it has two modes. You can see the select list here, the query builder mode. In the query builder mode, what you can do is you can generate SQL queries, right? So these SQL queries can be source queries for form and report regions, for example, right? Additionally, you can also generate PL SQL, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS code using natural language prompts using the general assistance mode. So other than query builder, we also have something called as general assistance mode, using which you can generate all these code snippets or interact with the large language model to improvise the code snippets. So that's what the next point is. You can also improve and explain quick actions. So improve and explain quick actions are available so that you can select a part of the code and click on improve. That will improve the code in a more better way. Or if you don't understand a particular code snippet, you can simply highlight and click on explain. It will explain the code to you, just like having an Apex SQL coach within the platform itself, right? This is what Apex Assistant is all about in code editors. It leverages the generative AI service behind the scenes. Okay, now let's see a quick demo of this feature. I'm back to my browser. So in the browser, I already have, okay, this is not the one, this is the one. I already have this application created and this is the dashboard page, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more uh, regions in this. So I'll go back to my page designer for this page. This is the dashboard page that you see. And here I want to add more charts, right? So I'll be creating one more region and this will be chart type region. And by default, this will be a bar chart, which is fine. And then here, instead of table or view, I'll be going with SQL query so that I can show you the Apex Assistant. So when I open this code editor, you can see a button called Apex Assistant. When I click on that, it opens up the Apex Assistant in a new tab. Here I can ask questions. So it is in the query builder mode. So I can simply give prompts to generate queries. So the first prompt I'm going to ask is, let me copy that over. So I want a chart which shows average graduation rate for each application method for high schools. I simply send that and it comes back with a SQL query very quickly. I can simply insert that query into the code editor region by clicking on the insert button, and I can also validate using the validate. It is perfectly syntactically correct SQL query that the generative AI service has generated, right? On top of this, I can also ask the model to, order by. So I'll say right now does not have any order by clause. It will just order by randomly. So what I'll do is I'll say show highest graduation rate first. I don't even have to provide the context. It knows the context already. It knows that this is the query it has to update. So I'll just say show highest graduation rate first, and it accordingly modifies the query. If I insert it back, and yeah, this is a valid query. That's why once again, this is a valid query. and I can click on OK. Additionally, I can map the label and the value column for the chart region for the bar chart. Click on save, and I can give it a name as well for this chart. Add it, right? Now if I run this page, you see this chart in action. I can additionally also try some other examples in this chart region. For example, I'll go back to this query, or I'll add one more region, and I'll make it interactive classic report, or interactive report for that matter, like interactive reports. Okay, and I'll be selecting SQL query here. And again, this time I'll make it a little more interesting. I know that in my database table, there is, let me show that quickly. Duplicate. If I go to my object browser, if I look at the data I have, it has lat long information as well of each school, right? So I also have lat long information. So I know the location of each school using this latitude and longitude information, right? Now let's see if I can write a spatial query using Apex Assistant. So I again open the Apex Assistant. I'll ask, calculate distance of each school from Empire State Building. Distance should be in miles. Okay. It sometimes works, sometimes it does not work, but the fact is it understands that. So I have also used this particular tag, asking it to use only Oracle Spatial APIs to calculate the distance. So if I close this, this is the query it has generated. And I don't even have to specify what are the lat longs for Empire State Building. It is able to get that information on its own, and it is able to generate this particular SQL query. Let us see if it validates correctly. It does validate correctly. If I click on OK and save and run, some issue here. Let us see. I think one more is missing. It makes some mistakes because it's not aware of all the examples, all the syntaxes. But then, yeah, the precision part is missed. Then we can make the correction, and it will now calculate the distance in miles, right? So using this Epic system, you can make all these complex to complex queries. You can generate these kind of complex queries using natural language, right? Additionally, let's say, let me go back to the previous query. In this one, I would like to show one more feature of Apex Assistant, and that is, what if I have a typo, or I have a syntactically wrong query or some error in this particular code, right? If I click on validate, it throws this error. Along with this error, it also gives me an option called help me fix this. When I click on this, it will automatically open the Apex Assistant. It takes the code that has error, and it sends this code across to LLM, and LLM will be able to fix this for you from within the platform. It also gives an explanation as to what is wrong with this code. Right? It is giving this missing by keyword, and it also gave the correct format. I can simply highlight this and click on insert, and it inserts this. And now if I validate, it's valid once again. So you can use Apex Assistant to also fix your errors in the code, right? If you're not good with SQL, or if you don't understand certain code snippets, you can always use Apex Assistant. For example, I don't understand this, for example, right? When I highlight this, I get these quick actions: improve selection or explain selection. If I click on explain selection, it explains that part of the code for me. So it explains each and every line of this code like a SQL coach. Additionally, imagine I have a number of huge PL/SQL code snippet here. So what I can do, I can simply highlight this. I can click on use selection, and I can say format this code. So it will format the code for you. It is already formatted, so it does not do anything, but that's one use case which I particularly like. So this is something which we can do with Apex Assistant using generative AI service, which behind the scenes leverages large language models or generative AI, right? So that's the demo on Apex Assistant. Now I'll get back to a PPT once again to show you the next demo. All right. So the next feature which you can use in Apex 24.1, which leverages generative AI service, is this Open AI Assistant dynamic action. So what exactly is this dynamic action? So it's a native dynamic action in Oracle Apex, using which you can render an AI chat user interface within your Apex end applications, right? Again, just like the other two, the previous features which I demoed today, those are all within the app builder. This particular feature lets you render an AI chat user interface in the end user application, right? This also leverages generative AI services configured under workspace utilities in the first step. And this AI chat interface can be rendered inline in a region or as a dialog, right? You can open this AI chat interface as a dialog, or you can render that inside a region as well, inline. And it also has many configurable attributes like system prompt, welcome message, etc. All these are configurable. We'll see that in demo in some time, right? This is again one more feature which leverages the generative AI service to give you the generative AI support within your end user applications. Again, going back to my browser. So this is back to browser. So what I'll do now is I'll create one more dummy page here to show you an example of how I can render the AI assistant. So I'll create a dummy page, blank page. Maybe I'll do one thing. I'll just show it here itself in the home page. I'll add one button here. That's more better. Yes. I go to the page. So in the breadcrumb bar, I add a button. I'll call it ask, right? And the slot will be next. And on the click of this button, I want to open the chat widget, the AI chatbot, right? So for that, I click on create dynamic action. And here, this is click of the button. I can say, give it a name as well. Open AI assistant window. Okay. And for action, this is where you can select the new Open AI Assistant dynamic action, right? When you select this option, and here it is by default mapped to application default service. So what this means is that it uses the application default. So this is defined under application attributes. So if I go to application definition, so here under AI, whatever you have defined here, that is what it will use. So when you select the service, all the generative AI services which you have defined under workspace utilities show up here, and you can define whatever you want this application to use, right? So if you don't, you can keep this none here, or you can choose whatever you want. This will be the application default. If you want to have a different generative AI service for this particular component, a one different than what you have selected at the application level, you can always select a different service here as well at the component level. For example, I'll go with OpenAI and I click on save and I run this app. I get this ask button. Let me change the UI a little bit. I just want to make it text with icon, and I want to add a chat icon. So I have a chat icon here, a chatbot icon. I can add that and click on save. Also make it hot just for aesthetics. This button looks decent. Now when I click on that, it opens this AI assistant window. Here I can ask questions. What is Oracle Apex? It comes back with an answer. Again, it is interacting with the OpenAI because I have selected OpenAI, right? OpenAI as my service. It is interacting with the OpenAI generative AI service, and it is coming back with an answer. You have other configuration options as well. For example, you can provide a system prompt. System prompt is like an instructions that you're giving to the large language model. So this is where you can provide some instructions like guardrails if if you don't want the OpenAI assistant to hallucinate or answer only pertaining to certain expert areas. You can provide all that instructions here. For example, I want the OpenAI assistant to only answer questions in German, right? I'll say answer all questions only in German on save. And if I go back and refresh this page, reopen this, and if I ask, how are you doing? It comes back with an answer in German. So this is how you can instruct the LLM to behave in a particular way. You can also provide a welcome message. Hey, I help you. And you can also, as I was telling, you can render this as a dialogue or as inline. When you provide inline, you can also create one more region within this. Let me do that quickly. I can create one more region, and I can give it a static ID here or chat. And this static ID is what you mentioned in the container selector. Hash chat. So now this particular chat widget, whatever you see here, right? It will not be rendered as a dialog, but it will render in that particular region. You can say need to. So let's say I have a region here at the end, right? Does not render. When I click on ask, it renders this chat interface in that region. So that is how you can use this appearance attribute. Move back to dialog, and I can also provide a title to replace the default title. Let's say I'll say Oracle Apex system. Okay. Demo. This is the title I'll be giving. And I click on this, it comes back with this title. Right. So this is something which you can easily configure. And we also have other options like initial prompt, use response. All this I will not be covering, it will be too much. But I'll also give a brief intro into the quick actions. You can provide quick actions like how may or what is Oracle Apex, and what is climate like today. Some random quick actions. When you provide these quick actions, what happens is these quick actions are available as chips when you open, let me refresh the page. So these are available as quick actions. When you click on that, it answers the question based on that. So that is the use of quick actions. Right. So this is about the OpenAI Assistant feature available inside Oracle database, Oracle Apex. All right. So here you can choose whichever service you want. You can have one more chatbot, which is using a different service altogether. So you're not restricted to use a single generative AI service. You can use, you have the flexibility to choose whichever service you want for in whichever component, right? So you can have in a single application, you can have two different chatbots using two different services altogether, right? If required. That's also, that's something you can do. Now, going to the next demo. This is all about Apex 24.1 features using generative AI services. Now, let me go back to my PPT. The next topic which I'm going to talk about is how you can use Oracle Database 23 AI vector search to implement semantic search inside Apex app. Right? Before I go and explain what is semantic search and all that, I'll first give you an introduction to what exactly is this Oracle AI vector search. So Oracle database has natively implemented vector data type as well as vector operations inside the database. Right? So this AI vector search enables searches on business data to be combined with semantic searches. So traditionally, you might have performed keyword searches or Oracle text searches, right? Now with Oracle Database 23 AI, you can also perform semantic search on top of your business data, right? So once you have this semantic search done, it also allows interactions with large language models to be augmented with business data. So now you have the business data, you can augment the large language model with the business data so that it can answer the questions based on your own data, right? This is one use case of vector search. I'll show that in action in the demo. So I'll just quickly go through what is a vector. All this you can see. A vector is a sequence of numbers called dimensions used to capture important features of data, right? So a vector, what it represents is the semantic content of data. It does not actually represent the actual words or pixels in an image. It represents the actual semantic meaning of that data, right? And once you have vectors, what you can do, uh, a, a vector on its own may not be very useful, right? However, if you have two vectors representing two pieces of data, we can understand the relationship between them by comparing them and analyzing them by performing mathematical operations on top of these two vectors, right? The main operation that you can perform on vectors is calculating the vector distance. So there are many ways you can calculate vector distance. The most popular one is this Euclidean norm distance, wherein imagine a vector as a point in space. This vector is also one more point in space. How do you calculate distance? Is by calculating the square root of difference between squares, right? This is how you calculate the distance between vectors, and this is what one algorithm that you can use to calculate distance. That is what is vector distance. There are many other mathematical distance formulas available. Now you have vectors in the database. Now what Oracle Database 23 AI does is it gives you the native capability to deal with these vectors, to manage these vectors. The first one is you can create tables with vector columns, right? You can either create a table like this. You can have a column with vector. And second option is you can also specify the type of, you can specify the dimensions of vector, and you can specify the type, data type of these dimensions, right? Here it is a flexible vector. It can have any number of dimensions. This is a fixed dimension vector. So once you have the vectors, what you can do, you can actually load Onyx model into the Oracle Database 23 AI. So this is an interesting thing which Oracle Database can do. It can import an Onyx embedding model into the database. So what exactly is Onyx? Onyx stands for Open Neural Network Exchange, right? Onyx is an open standard format for machine learning models, right? Although you can generate vector embeddings outside the Oracle database using pre-trained open source embeddings, you also have the option to import these models directly into the Oracle database. So what Oracle database does is Oracle database implements an Onyx runtime within the database itself. This allows you to generate vector embeddings without leaving the database. And this is what you use. You use the DBA data mining package to import that Onyx model into the database. Once you have the Onyx model loaded, that Onyx model is named as doc model in the previous step. Let me show that quickly. So while loading, the model name is mentioned as doc model. Is something which you give while loading the model. You give a name to this Onyx model, and that name can be used, that Onyx model can be used, that name can be used to reference that Onyx model while converting text into vectors, right? So Onyx can be imagined as a black box which converts text into vectors, right? That is what we are using here. Using basic SQL, you can convert text into vectors using SQL functions natively inside the database. Now, this is here I'm calculating, or here I'm converting the data into vectors, basically performing embedding. Once I have the vectors inside the database, what I can do is I can calculate the vector distance. Again, I don't have to leave the database. Once the user asks a question or user types in a search term, I can convert that search term into a vector, just like how I did for my usual data. And then I can perform vector distance between two vectors, between the vectors in the database as well as the query vector. And based on this vector distance, I can semantically group similar data points in my tables, right? Let's see this in action, how I can use these vector concepts to implement semantic search in Oracle Apex application. For that, I'll shift back to my browser, see if I have this working. So this is an Apex social media app. So what this app has is it has all the images, right? You can see all the images here. Corresponding to each image, I have also generated a description. This image description is also generated using AI. I will not be covering that in this demo. So what I did is I sent this image to GPT vision model to generate this description. So what I have in the system, in this application is image and its corresponding description. And I have a search bar here. This search bar, when I type something, it searches through these descriptions and shows all the relevant images. For example, if I type sneakers, right, it shows all the images where there is word description, there is word sneakers in its description. Similarly, if I type Mumbai, it shows this particular images because it has the word Mumbai somewhere in its description. Now, what if I type Bombay, right? Bombay and Mumbai are both same cities basically, but it does not return because the exact term Bombay is not available in the description anywhere, right? Or instead of sneakers, if I type boots, nothing comes up. Or pair of sneakers, nothing comes up, right? Now, what if I enable AI vector search? Now it shows the image with sneakers at the top. Even though the exact word boots, which is a search term here, right? Boots is not there in the description anywhere. It is able to understand that boots and sneakers are semantically closer. And that is why it is showing this particular image at the top. Similarly, if I type Bombay, even though nowhere in this description you will find Bombay, but it understands that Mumbai and Bombay are semantically same. And that is why it is showing that particular image at the top. And it is also calculating the vector distance, as I was mentioning, right? So the lesser the distance, the higher the image will be in the result set. If I type Dubai, right, it has it. But if I type UAE instead of Dubai, right, nowhere in this description you'll find UAE. You have Dubai, you have United Arab Emirates. But it understands that UAE and Dubai, UAE and United Arab Emirates, they are semantically close, right? That is why it is able to retrieve and put this particular image at the top of the result set. So this is AI vector semantic search using AI vector search. Now, how did I do this? Let me quickly show that to you. Let me go to the app builder. Okay, it's turned off. Let me log in. Currently, this AI vector search is only available in Oracle Database 23 AI. So I'm using an autonomous database. So on autonomous database, Oracle Database 23 AI is only available as always free option. So when you provision an autonomous database, when you toggle the always free switch, that is when you can see Apex 23 AI, Oracle Database 23 AI option and provision and Oracle Database 23 AI instance, and then have Apex on top of that. So you need Oracle Database 23 AI for vector search. So if I go to about section, you can see I'm using 23 AI database version. Right? Now, coming back to this semantic search, how did I implement that? I click on and I go to a particular app. So in this app, the first thing is before you enable semantic search, you need to run few commands. I'll show those commands quickly to you. So first thing you need to do is you need to load the Onyx model, right? On the autonomous database, the easiest way to load the Onyx model is by creating a directory. So this is what I do. I create a directory in my autonomous database, and then I place the Onyx file This Onyx file you can download from the internet. It is available from Oracle as well, a pre-converted Onyx file. You can download that. And that Onyx file, I placed it in the object storage. And then I have some credentials to access this file from autonomous database, sorry, from object storage in ADB. So this credential I have created. This credential is based on your own OCI credentials, based on your username and password. Once you have this credential created, you can access the file in the object storage using this credential. So you just provide the object URI, the URL of the Onyx file in the object storage, and the directory name and the credential name. So when you do this, it will pull that file from object storage and place it in this directory. Right? Once you have the file in the directory, the next step is to give the read-write privilege on this directory to the Apex workspace parsing schema, so that you can access this directory and load that file into the database. Additionally, you also need to grant create mining model privilege. This is needed if you want to use AI vector search. If you want to mine the models, this is needed. If you want to load the model, Onyx model, right? This privilege is needed. So this is also something which you need to grant to the parsing schema. Once I have this granted as admin user, I then switch to my parsing schema. Maybe in the SQL commands, I can come to SQL commands in Apex, and then I can execute this dbms vector.load Onyx model to load the Onyx model into the database. And this is the name I'm giving, doc model. Right? Once I have this Onyx model loaded, I can put this to use to convert my descriptions into vectors. So here I have all these descriptions in text format, right? So all these descriptions are stored in the database in the AI image description column. Let me quickly show that to you. So in my SM post table, I have two columns, image description as well as vector. Image description holds the description in text format. This is the image description that you see here, the last column. Now what I'm doing, I'm converting the image description text into vectors using vector embedding SQL function. So this SQL function takes in the Onyx model, which is defined here, and converting the image description into vector. And it is stored in the database in the vector column, this column. So now I have vectors inside my database table, right? So once I have the vectors stored in the database table, I have all these vectors, right, in my database column, as well as the image description. Now, whenever user types in a search term, I need to perform semantic search. How do I do that? By calculating the vector distance. So this is done in the timeline region. So I'll go to the timeline region. I'll go to social media app. I'll go to timeline region, timeline page, and inside timeline page, I have a timeline region. So here, this is where this region is getting its results from, right? So in this region source query, I'm calculating the vector distance. So whenever user types in a search term in this search field, that is captured in this page item, P1 search page item, right? So this is the search term in text format. This search term I convert into a vector. This is called query vector now. So once I have the query vector, I can calculate vector distance between the query vector as well as the available vectors in the database for each record. And this is the vector distance. Once I have the vector distance calculated, I am sorting the result set based on that vector distance in ascending order. That is why all the records which have a smaller vector distance, they show up at the top. So if the vector distance is smaller, it means it is semantically closer to the search term, right? This is how you can implement semantic search within Oracle Apex using Oracle Database 23 AI vector search capability. So all this I have done without leaving the database, right? Without having to depend on any external large language models, for example. I just loaded the large language model into the database, and natively within the database using basic SQL and PL SQL skills, I'm able to implement semantic search, and I'm able to interface that using Oracle Apex application, right? This is one use case of how you can use AI vector search to implement semantic search. So that's the demo on AI vector search. Let me get back to the presentation. That concludes the topics for today. Finally, I would like to also introduce training and certification courses which Oracle Apex team has made it available for you. So if you want to learn Oracle Apex, if you are starting with Oracle Apex, you can take any of these courses to learn about Apex. The first one is Apex Foundations course, which gives you a basic introduction to what exactly is Oracle Apex, what it can do. And if you want, let me quickly go through the fundamentals. So this is the first course, Apex Foundations course, the 3.5-hour course. It covers all the fundamentals of Oracle Apex, right? And you can take this course by scanning this URL or going to this short URL. It is also available on LinkedIn Learning. It's free of cost, by the way. You can just take this course without paying any amount. And the second is Apex Professional course. This is also free of cost. You can take this course. It's a soup to nuts course. It covers all the concepts that you need to learn to build Apex applications. It's a 13-hour plus course. So the specialty of this course is along with each module, you also have hands-on labs. So whatever is taught in each module, you can also try them on your own by following the step-by-step instructions that are available as hands-on labs, right? And then once you take professional course, you can also get yourself certified. This is again paid. The course is free, but this is paid. You can pay and take this course and get yourself certified as Oracle Apex Cloud Developer Certified Professional, right? Additionally, if you want to learn in detail, so whatever I covered today, all this is available as a learning path wherein I cover most of these topics in much more detail. So if you want to learn more about these, if you want to practice this or try this hands-on, you can go and take this course, Empowering Low-Code Apps with AI. You can go to this URL, apex.oracle.com/go/ALN, again, free of cost, available on Oracle University. Whatever I covered today and more than that is available in this particular learning path. That said, if you want to explore anything about Oracle Apex, all the links which I shared today and everything about Oracle Apex, apex.oracle.com is one stop to everything you need about Apex. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toufiq. There are some questions if you have time to maybe look over and see if you want to answer one or two of them. And while he does that, I just want to remind everyone that today's webinar was recorded, so you will have access to everything. Hopefully, we'll get it up in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Toufiq, you want to look at the Q&A?
Yes, I am taking a look at the first question. The
Thank
question reads, do we need to set up our own endpoint in OCI if we use the OCI generative AI service when using Apex_AI? Or is there a playground we can use for limited experiments so we can compare Cohere and OpenAI? So OCI generative AI has its own, it's a fully managed service. So you just go there and you just have to select an OpenAI, a Cohere or Llama 2 endpoint. You don't have to provision your own endpoint. So it has its own endpoint. It's a fully managed service. You just have to grab your API keys and start using it. If you want to host your own model, that is where you get your own endpoint. So it also has Cohere, Llama 2, and all these models hosted for you. You just have to grab the API key and start using it. You don't have to host your own endpoint. I hope that answers your question. So one more
Awesome.
question.
Anything else?
I'll take one more question. Does it have limitations to the number of prompts you can make? It depends on, see, I have provided my own API key, right? When I was configuring OpenAI generative AI service, I configured it using my own API key. So as long as you have credits uh, to invoke the OpenAI service, you can send as many prompts as you can. There are no limitations. It depends on your credits in the OpenAI and your OpenAI endpoint. As long as it allows, you can make as many prompts as you want. Can you share with us the detailed procedure to configure OpenAI AI service? Yes, you can go to the learning path which I shared, apex.oracle.com/go/AI-learn. So there you'll get a hands-on lab as well and a video course. You can follow through and create OpenAI service yourself. Yes, I think that should be fine. So one more question from Suzanne. So consent is assuming table names and column names make some kind of sense. Do they need to? Ideally, yes. It assumes that the column names are meaningful. Based on the column names, it tries to make sense of what kind of data it holds. Currently, the query builder does not take into consideration the comments attribute of the column. It only looks into the column names and table names. And also, it's a best practice to keep these table names and column names meaningful, right? So right now, it depends on the readability of your table names and column names. Yes. Do the AI services have access to view one's data? No, it does not view your data. All it does is it sends the table name, column name, primary key, foreign key relationship. That's it. It does not send your data over to the LLM. That's true. Yep. I think that concludes the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I know we went a bit over the hour, so make sure you go rewatch the webinar and see any of our resources at NYOUG.org or viscosityna.com through Orapub, www.orapub.com. But thank you so much, Toufiq, and thank you, Coleman, Rob from
Thank you.
NYOUG. We'll see you all here next week, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you again, Toufiq.
You.
Thank you, Toufiq. Bye now.
All right, take care, everyone.